It's time I stretch these legs. Book a little adventure. See the grandkids. Look at properties. London, Dubai, New York. Why settle? Be a global citizen.
If it's on your mind, it's on ours. Partner with a wealth banker that will connect your global banking, lending, and investments on a single platform.
Uyoti watabuka phina wemtaka baba inkaba yakho yona yemphelwe phina omazi umkhulu awumazi ukhokho uyothuluthini na Mabekubuza abantu bezizwe 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 uyothuluthini na Mazi umkhulu awumazi ukhokho thuluthini na Awumazi umalume, awumazi umamncane thuluthini na Awumazi umshana, awumazi umzala thuluthini na Mabekubuza abantu bezizwe uyothuluthini na Mabekubuza abantu bezizwe uyothuluthini na Mabekubuza abantu bezizwe uyothuluthini na Ubuza abantu bezizwe uyothuluthini na Awumazi umkhulu awumazi ukhokho thuluthini na Awumazi umalume awumazi umamncane thuluthini na Awumazi umshana awumazi umzala thuluthini na Mabekubuza abantu bezizwe uyothuluthini 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 na Yes, uyoqamba manje ukhomba ihlobo. Sanibonani. Hi, it's time for izinga. Just like that. Ekapa lodumo. And under the Table Mountain. The Table Mountain is witnessing a special day today. What song was that? It says, uyothuluthini mabekubuza abantu bezizwe. When you don't know where your umbilical cord is buried, what is the place that you call home, that sense of belonging? When they ask you, who's your father, who's your mother, who's your grandmother, your grandfather, your grandparents, your aunt, your uncles, even your cousins, you don't know them. How is that? When people of other nationalities ask you who you are, will you keep quiet? You'll have nothing to say. Because you never found out about where you come from, who you are, where you place yourself in this big world of billions of people. You need to have a place where you come from. I, the youngest daughter of Baba Mhlophe, I am Gcina Mhlophe kazindela kankomonhle kathumbeza. Okhuthaza abaphuthaza izulu abanye belesaba ontombi ezenda ngonyezi ezabafokazana zenda ngomnyama. That's me. Yeah. When you think of all of those names that I've quoted of my grandparents and great-great-grandparents and where we come from, it is extremely important. Whether I'm standing on a stage in Kyoto, in Japan, whether I find myself in Sao Paulo, in Brazil, whether I'm in Sweden, it doesn't matter where I am. I tell them, I don't doubt who I am. When you have a sense of self, you don't go around imitating other people's cultures, trying to be like so-and-so, like so-and-so. And it is a gift that our parents gave us. When you meet other people and they ask you who you are, and you're able to explain and share to them who you are, they also wish to share. There's something reciprocal about that. And they tell you where they come from. And when they tell you where they come from, they tell you who their parents are, and you think, Haibo, there's a connection there. We find the connections, and every single time I travel, whether I'm in Senegal, whether I'm in Egypt, it doesn't matter where I am, traveling in Malawi, meeting their national storyteller. By the way, I've been very lucky to meet Chitenje Tambala. An amazing man. He was blind by the time I met him, but what a mean storyteller. What a beautiful voice that sings. Oh my goodness. So when you meet these different people and you see, they tell you about their lives, about their experiences and the food they eat and the spaces that make them tick, you think human beings are more alike than they are different. We are more alike than we are different. And that's what I like about stories. And I'm thinking about when we look back in time, and there are people who think about the creator who created everything. There are people who say, we just popped out of rocks. I don't know, there are people like that. But when you think back, when the world was young, so young in the process of becoming, some people will tell you there was nothing at all, neither light nor darkness. I beg to differ. I'll tell you, there must have been joy and there was promise. And that joy and promise gave birth to rhythm. The very rhythm that keeps our hearts beating, whether we are asleep or awake. The very rhythm that keeps our hearts going, whether we're rich or poor. And the very rhythm that helps a child who takes their first steps. It doesn't matter in which part of the world. And we are so excited when we see a child take their first steps. It is the very rhythm that helps a boy who falls in love with the cowhide drum at a coming of age ceremony. It is the very rhythm that keeps the waves of the ocean coming and going and coming and going. It is that same rhythm that makes sure the seasons follow each other through time, whether it is winter and then spring and then summer and then fall again. It just continues like that. But I tell you for sure, it is that very rhythm that inspires the tongue of the storyteller to tell a story. And you come from a land where we celebrate oral tradition. You remember our great-great-grandparents when they used their tongues and dipped them on their saliva and they wrote on the page of the ear of the listeners. And they told the stories as the sun was setting, as the first star appeared. And by saying, "Where's Sugesugela?" and everybody around the fire responded, "Kosi!" Simply meaning, we are ready to listen. Where's Sugesugela? Where's Sugesugela? Simply meaning we are ready to listen. And that first star out there, in isiXhosa it is called uCelizapolo. In isiZulu it is called isicelankobe. In isiSotho, I don't know what it's called in Kotlin. I used to know, I forgot. And isi English? What? Morning star. Can you get some white people here? That's the thing when you don't have enough white people. Can we have indigenous white people who know what is that star that shows up after sunset? That one. Exactly. Don't disappoint me. It mustn't be like there are no white people in the house. You know, when I look at Izinga, I see that Venus saying it's story time. When I see Izinga says to, "Hey, but it looks like a star." Hello? Hello, star? It looks like a star. Saying, tell your story. Know who you are. Know why you are doing what you are doing. And tell us where it came from. I truly believe that these ideas, these dreams we have are planted for a purpose in our hearts. And then sometimes we fear how we're going to share them with somebody else. My father would say, "We are siloma." I didn't even know the word siloma, where it comes from. But there's a way of dismissing somebody's idea when it is not yours. And people will find a reason why it would fail. It would never work. Why would you do that? Huh? You should be doing this. They find anything else that you should be doing instead of doing what you think you are feeling inside you. You know that somehow you're going to find like-minded people and journey together and work to make this dream this idea, this possibility, this spark come alive. And years later, when it has come alive, and people ask, what do you do? And you try to explain to them. I was sitting alone, and I was just, this thing just occurred to me. What? It just is like, on a normal Thursday, and you fumble this way and that way. But over time, you find a way of explaining what you do and why you do it. When I'm thinking about how we started doing the Nozincwadi literacy campaign, I was zigzagging, flying all over the place, going to different parts of the world, and then I would have this uncontrollable desire to go home. And I would take the first flight out of Johannesburg. I promise you, by 9 a.m. I was already in Hammersdale. Small town between Durban and Pietermaritzburg. And Mama would say, you never wrote a letter to say you are coming. Now imagine if I wrote a letter, 3 weeks it would take for the letter to arrive at home to say that I am coming. I'm taking the first flight, I want to arrive today. So I'd hear the news, so-and-so, we are so-and-so is going to get married. And then so-and-so, hayibo, uyazi akave qhuba kahle university. So-and-so is doing well at university. I catch up on the news, and then I take off my watch, put it over there. I'm going to be home for 3 weeks. And then I put away my file of facts. Did anybody I don't need my file of facts for 3 weeks. And then I'm chilling, I'm sitting at home, I'm catching up on the news, and so he's taking a fourth wife. Aibo, imali, where's the money going to come from? I hear all of this news, I'm so relaxed. And then my father goes to the bedroom. Uyabuya, he has changed, he's wearing his green overalls. He's taking some working tools. Ati, noqina, asambe sosebenza emathuneni. I'm thinking, I pretend as if I'm wrong. I did not hear. And then he insists, asambe sosebenza emathuneni. Let's go work in the graves. And Mama says, no. Noqina is tired. She is tired. She's been working in Canada. Because I just come back from Canada. So she's been working in Canada. She's tired. It is Kananda in isiZulu, right? Even Cato Ridge in isiZulu is called Kitolishi. And she protested. My father did not raise his voice. He said, asambe. And so I realized this man is not joking. So I went and changed and wore some comfortable clothes to go and work in the family graveyard. And we took our tools and we went. Everybody who died after 1934 is buried there. But why 1934? Because in 1934, there was a great big sale. Where many Mhlophe people lived. 2 white farmers bought the land. From who, for how much, we will never know. But they bought the land. And they said, it's either you work for us or you get lost. My grandfather chose to get lost. That is how we ended up on the banks of Umngadodo River in Hammersdale. And there are so many rocks, I don't know what they were thinking. They had to pull big rocks and build a house. Now our house, the walls are solid. The rocks are not going anywhere. The only thing you would need to fix is the roof, really, from time to time. But those rocks are just standing. And that's our home. And we cleaned the graves, grave after grave. We would clean the grave of our grandmother Mangubane and sing the song she used to sing in the Methodist church. And then when we are finished, we moved to the next grave and clean that one and move to the next one. Now, this one, she was the darkest member of our family. Hi, we clean. And then we go to the next one. And here lies your naughty brother. And we remove the weeds. And my father keeps calling him naughty. What did our father do, our brother do that made him so naughty? He was always sick. We are happy. A King Edward. We are boy. A King Edward in English is called a King Edward Hospital. And then he would go to King Edward Hospital and come back. And then one night he came back. He was looking strong. His skin was shining, and he was just singing non-stop. And we were so happy that he even wanted to sing. Siya hambatina, siya ezulwini, uyosala wena. Othandizono, siya hambatina, siya ezulwini, uyosala wena. othandizono siyahamba thina siya ezulwini uyosala wena othandizono. We cleaned his grave. I said, Baba, and then he sang late into the night. Finally, he fell asleep. We were relieved. We went to sleep. But in the next morning, we woke up, looked at him. He died in the night. Naughty, naughty brother of yours, this one. We moved to the next grave. Every grave we were cleaning, it did not feel to me like we were cleaning graves. It felt like we were looking at a family album. I could see their faces. I could hear their voices. I could hear the jokes they used to tell as my father narrated. And I heard all of this and I thought, wow, what an experience. I am so glad I am home. And I listened to all of this. When we had a pile of rubbish, Mama came from the house. Petty tray with some tea, and I'ma eat some more biscuits. Put them down and said, you have unearthed the whole town here. She praised us. We all sat down on the grass. We felt wonderful that we had achieved something. And as we sat there, I was so grateful to have learned about this history. And we did it several times over the years with my father until there was this recurring name, somebody called Nozincwadi, mother of books. And this Nozincwadi could not read, she could not write, and apparently she collected anything with words on it, put them in a suitcase. She insisted one day these voices will speak to me. Sadly, she died without ever learning to read and write. But when I heard that story, I got excited. My mouth was watering. I said, Baba, where is the suitcase? I could imagine if I could open that suitcase and see what she collected. Because apparently she collected Ilanga Lase Natala, an old Bible, an old school book, all kinds of things. And my father said, Nocturne, I have no idea what happened to that suitcase. I was furious because I think my family should have gone to a Sangoma. Sangoma would have told them that unto this family a mad child will be born and she will love books. If they didn't go to a Sangoma, they should have had a premonition. For 3 days and 3 nights, I could hardly sleep. I could hardly enjoy my food because I was furious. Until Saturday morning, I woke up. I thought, I can wake up the suitcase. I can wake it up. I shook Baba Quiz. Baba Quiz, Lalen, I think I'm going to wake up the suitcase. Having been married to me all those years, he said, I think you will. And he went back to sleep. Luckily, we found offices in Braamfontein. And we started calling on all kinds of people, publishing houses, all kinds of people who could assist us. And we just went on and on. MTN. MTN, everywhere we go, we must read. And we set up office. We designed a logo. A logo was a typical idea, typical Gcina Mhlophe idea. It was my profile with a stack of books on my head because that's how African women carry heavy loads. We carry them on our heads. So that's how Nozincwadi literacy campaign started. And we decided we're going to go from province to province. And in my cleverity, I thought we can do this thing for a whole 12 months. What can you do in 12 months? But I thought I was clever, and I told everybody we're going to do it for 12 months, and it just kept on going. 18 months, 2 years, 3 years. Now we're in 2025. We continue with Nozincwadi, mother of books. And now, I cannot tell you how many schools we've been to, how many libraries we've renovated, how many areas in different provinces. That's how I know the map of my country, according to what school is in that area, whether Umbu, whether it is a Harding, whether it is a Kwamhlabi, whether it's Nongoma or Pongolo, whether we are talking Kimberley, whether we are talking Putadi Chaba, whether different parts of South Africa, and I am grateful that we've been able to do that. When people ask, thank you. When people ask, what do you do? Always there will be two things that they will be there until the day I die. I'll always be a writer and I'll always be a storyteller. That will never change. But this work that has to do with connecting with different communities and telling stories and promoting books and bringing books to young people to the hands that sometimes can never have a book in their home unless it's a set work at school. bringing those books, not only in English, but in mother tongues, because I celebrate African languages. We want to make sure that children get books in Sesotho, in Setswana, in Tshivenda, in Xhosa. All of these languages. Recently, we've been criticized. Mamgcina, not one of your books was translated into Shilobedu. Never occurred to me. Said, okay, I take the blame. We're going to do better next time. And then we started having some of my books come out in Braille. And then after that, we decided I've got to start doing sign language videos. I started with the book of Nozincwadi, and now I must do more and more of my books. And this is the thing I'm coming to about telling the story of how Nozincwadi started. I'm talking about when you meet somebody and you hear what work they do, you think, that's my tribe. We can work together, because they are telling a story. They are telling you how this was inspired and who added what to. And when you see that recipe, how that meal came together and how they decided they wanted to share that meal in the community where they are. Sometimes it looks like something so small, but it's okay to feel like you're doing something small, because somebody else does something small and small and small, and we make a difference because we are nation builders. Other people, when they see us on television, those who've seen us on television and those who recognize my voice because of the radio, they come up with these words like, "It's celebrity." I don't have time to be a celebrity because I'm a nation builder. I've got work to do in my country. I could live in other countries, yes. I'm in that place in my career where I can live in another country, but I cannot live in another country. Who's going to do the work that I'm supposed to do now in my country? It's that thing of being patriotic, of knowing that you have to do something. And that is why Nozincwadi continues. And she's long dead. She's lying in her grave. She's operating from beyond the grave. And here I am. I'm the medium. And many, many other creative arts people have been on the journey with me. Let me share another story. A woman I know, and she's from a place called Wanjobogazi. I tried to work it out in my map, in my mind, until they explained to me where it was. And she came and told us, Mamgcina, in the area where I am, I would wake up early in the morning to go to work. She's a teacher. Go to work. And I would see many children who have to wake up very early after they've done their grade 7. Because there's no secondary school, there's no high school, Wanjobogazi, at all. And they would walk so early in the dark, they'd come back late in the afternoon. And I was thinking, hi man, someone has to do something about this. And every year this continues. Someone has to do something about this. And it just continued like this. And one day she said, you know, Mamgcina, I was combing my hair, getting ready to work, looking at myself in the mirror. And I repeated, these children, they are in danger. There's so much rape, so much child abuse. And what someone has to do something about. And then she stopped and she looked in the mirror. Looked like someone was looking at her in the mirror. She became that someone. She started working with different people, talking to the chiefs. That's a long journey, talking to the chiefs for the land. I want to do something for the community. And eventually, she found people who were prepared to assist her, buy the land to assist the community. And once this school was rising, it was growing, the important people in the village were just irritated by her. Women these days, they think they can just turn the world around. I don't know what's wrong. It's Mandela who started this whole thing. It's Mandela. Women, suka. And they always complained about her being a woman. But she plowed on. She continued. And then I started hearing members of other sister organizations telling me about it. And then I heard the name of this school, the secondary school she was building. It was called Uminati. God is standing with us. Uminati. I thought, that's a name. That's powerful. And I remember hearing about the official opening. And I called friends and colleagues, dancers, singers, storytellers, and poets. I said, Asambin. There are many people that are going to support this young lady, but we are going as well. So 7 cars. We drive. There's a convoy of artists going to Uminati Secondary School. And we drove and we got there. What a beautiful building. What a joyous feeling. We found these young people who are going to be part of Uminati Secondary School. And this principal, she was now the principal at this school. She was standing there so polite, so nice, like she's somebody's PA or somebody's Joyeluz or Tatama notes at a meeting. Nix, she's the principal. We arrived there. We went berserk. We were so excited. We started shouting and ululating and going mad. By the time we settled down, the chief arrived. Oh, everybody had to panic. And then the chief sat down, and then the panicking continued. What are they going to do? They need to bring him something. No. What about the children? What about the woman whose dream it was? What about the fact that this has happened? But we thought, please give the chief all the drinks or whatever he needs now so that we can focus on celebrating. Some of us are natural-born celebrators. So we had a fabulous time. And every single time I hear that name, Uminati, I remember a woman who keeps on saying somebody has to do something about this, until she stood and looked at herself in the mirror, and that somebody was looking at her. And every time I share that story, and every time I imagine her telling somebody that story of how the story came to be, I feel good. Because it is about us telling the stories of what seed was planted in order for that to happen. One of our sister organizations up on the North Coast, I'm so happy, I'm so proud. I wish I could shout about them on television every week if I could. They've got the first ever dive center run by black women in South Africa.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. And then they've got 10 top, globally recognized, certificated deep sea diving instructors. Female, thank you very much. Hey, Mandela, problem, Mandela, man. We blame it all on Mandela. These women have got too much confidence. But how did that happen? No, well, he was irritated by the fact that there's this whole thing, save the rhino all over the place. There's so much money with the save the rhino. Let's save the rhino, please. But what about hungry people? What about children? What about mothers? What about fathers who are struggling to make ends meet? Can we just put a balance there? And then he started realizing that who owns the game reserves? Not our people. Who owns this whole campaign of saving the rhino? Not our people. And who owns the money that inspires and propels people to kill the rhinos in order to get a bit of money before the horns go to China? Let's tell our stories, he said. We need to have Africa refocused. And then they formed NUF. When they formed it, I remember being called. They say, Mama, we need you to come and open at the official launch of the Congress. Huh? What am I launching exactly? So I went and they told me what they were planning and they brought young people and they taught them how to use the camera, how to use sound, how to do editing and all of that. Once I got all of that information and the official launch happened, you should have seen me walking up there, nothing self-raising. I walked there, I was so proud because I'm a mother hen. It's a natural thing. I feel so good when young people do good things. And so that first ever official launch of the Youth Congress, 6 years later, I'm part and parcel of this journey because I care about our environment. You know, when people talk about the environment like it's an idea that is imported from other countries, that we must care about Mother Nature, that we must care about our rivers, about our animals, our birds, I want to say to them, oh yeah, yes, in Africa. Siyasi thanda isizwe sethu yebo uyayasinga Africa simunye nendalo uyayasinga Africa simunye nendalo uyayasinga Africa simunye nendalo. We as Africans, we have been one with nature, whether it had to do with building our houses with mud, whether it had to do with using rocks or using thatch grass, it had to do with the way we used the skin or the animal. Everything was used for a purpose. When you look at all of the different types of work we did, it's said once and for all that we are one with nature. And I love this work that is being done. To date, there are so many films made by young people telling their stories about, the pangolin, right? Should I tell you the Zulu word for a pangolin? Inkaka. So when somebody is a champion, is doing wonderful things, they're just unstoppable. We look at you and say, hey, Winkaka. And other people don't know what is Inkaka. They think it's just a nice word. It sounds good because of the way African people say some words. Inkaka. You think, I should imitate that. A pangolin. What a powerful animal. People are making films about pangolin. African people are making films about underwater life. There's a young man from Langa Township who couldn't swim to save his life, and he learned to dive. He says, every day I was panicking. I'm never going to see my mother again. What was I doing here? Eventually, he says, you had to start breathing with the ocean. Let the ocean tell you how to breathe. Tell the ocean how you feel and why you're here. And eventually, he started looking at the magic down there. Magic that his parents and grandparents have never even dreamt of. And then they got the cameras and they started making films about all that is under the water that they could see. And people are making stories about bees and honey. Gcina Mhlophe is happy because she's addicted to honey, And so you hear all of these are all young people from my country, from my continent, from Malawi, from Senegal, from Cameroon, from Tanzania, from Madagascar, from Reunion Islands, from Mozambique, from all over. I feel so good every time I arrive and I watch these different films. When you say, tell your story, he doesn't need to tell the story anymore because these stories that have been told are just multiplying and multiplying and multiplying. And when people ask me, as a storyteller, Gcina Mhlophe, why do you tell stories, God? Why? I tell them, the reason why I tell stories is because I want to wake up stories in other people. If I can do that, I say it's mission accomplished. Because every living being has got a story to tell. When Izinga comes here and says to us, let's find a way, propel this ship that is about nation building. We propel this ship with the kind of oil that's called story after story after story, and we want to tell it good. When we tell that story, we want to make sure that we wake up stories in other people. And somebody who thought of doing something, who wanted to do an NGO, who said, hey, what will people say? Because sometimes we worry about people who will shoot us down. People who say, whatever you are trying won't work. Where will money come from? Because there's an important question as well. Sometimes money comes because the work has started. Sometimes you sharing with somebody what you are doing, what journey you hope to travel on. They say, Haibo, ashambisane. Let's travel together. And then somebody wants to travel with you. It's all in the story. When we tell those stories and let them multiply and multiply, we have to tell them good. We need to we make sure that there's a passion in the way we're telling the stories. And I'm not talking about talking loud. I'm not talking about getting on a stage. I'm not talking about telling a story with a smooth English or whatever language. Tell your story from your heart. Because when you tell it from your heart, and you can answer the question why, it's one of the most unanswerable questions for many people. The question why you are doing what you're doing. Once you know how to answer why, then the story pours out of you. When you know how to answer why, there's something that gives you new energy. Amandla amasha. You are re-inspired, re-energized. And I look at the stories that we hear sometimes of organizations that started, that did well, and then the light went out. You think, what happened? What happened? Sometimes it happens because the person who had the vision, who had the dream, was no longer there. Sometimes we don't pass on the baton while we still can. And we've got that responsibility that responsibility to pass on the baton while we still can, and to see in others what is possible. There's an expression that says, "Inkunzi isematholeni." The most powerful bull can be identified in the young calf. So, when we say inkunzi isematholeni, let's meet here, let's network, let's share stories, but let's continue looking for those who can come and be next to us, who can be on the journey with us, and those who might have the same passion. Maybe they're going to work it in a different way because there are no two people who can do things exactly the same way. And it's all right, because sometimes people doing something differently can be quite revolutionary. And that's fine, because you didn't know how to do it the way I did it. But you thought, yeah, you know what? My way can also work, because we're still on that journey of making that difference. I look at people who are worried about being surpassed by a younger person. Now, when you are scared of young people, what's going to happen in the future? Why are you scared of younger people? Bring them in, share the knowledge as much as you can, because that intergenerational dialogue and connection means that the dream will live long after you've gone. And when we are passing on all of that information, this story will be told, and it will keep growing and growing and growing. And one day people are going to say, I was in Cape Town. They were launching Izinga. And so was there. And so. Uban Manjelo. Who's that? They don't even remember those names that were there today. Derek Bani. Oh, Derek Lubani. Yamkumbula Lubani, yeah. Oh, he's from Chatsworth. Yeah, he's from Chatsworth. Derek Lubani. They don't know these names, but the story is there. The life of what they created is there. And they watch, and sometimes you bring videos and show, hey, bo, we ain't no. And they look at the names, they've never seen those names, they've never heard those names. But whose responsibility is it for those names to be remembered? It is our responsibility. So that when we pass on the baton, we let people remember who started it before I came. Before I go, you take over and continue and keep saying, this journey has been, this ship has been going on since so-and-so, and so-and-so, and so-and-so. And it goes back to what I did at the beginning, is Tagazelo, family, or clan names. When we say those clan names, it has to do with who we are, where we come from. Abantu bezizwe, mabekubuza ukuthi ubani uyothula uthini na. You will not keep quiet because you know where this organization comes from. I want to look at how many organizations here work with children. Can I see hands? Well. I'm a children. Look at that. We love the VIPs, don't we? If we don't care about children of our country, of our nation, of our continent, of the world, something is wrong with us. And for me, when I'm exhausted, because I do get tired, and somehow it's unwake-upable in the morning, and I know I've got a lot of work, I know my diary said I must get out of bed. So I have to repeat my mantra over and over and over again. I say to myself, until we see a brighter future in our children's eyes, not much of what we do today has any value. I kick the blanket, I go to shower, I repeat, until we see a brighter future in our children's eyes, not much of what we do today has any value. I go out to make a cup of tea, I repeat to myself, singaliboni kusasa eqhakazile emehlweni eingane zethu okuningi esikwenza namuhla kuyizeleze. By the time I step out, who said anything about tired? Mina, tired. So sometimes you need to have a mantra. Sometimes you need to have a motto. Sometimes that mission statement must not be forgotten. It must not go out only when you're writing proposals and you don't remember it. It's part of your story. Sure. Repeat that. And when we at Gcina Mhlophe say touch the past, feel the future, we keep repeating it because many people who come into our contact, some of them are retired professors, some of them are retired lawyers and all kinds of people. Some of them are just ordinary South Africans who've done ordinary jobs, but they've done extraordinary things. And then we get the very old and the very young. And then when they come together and we tell stories under the storytelling tree at the Bluff Showgrounds, we share stories in different languages and we say, touch the past, feel the future. And you say it in isiZulu, it becomes revolutionary now. Listen to this. Zazi imvelaphi yakho uhlomele ikusasa changes everything. In English, we say, touch the past, feel the future. But when we say it in isiZulu, we say, know where you come from and be armed for your tomorrow. Be armed for your tomorrow. So that's really calling you to get going. Pick up your arms. What have you got in your skill set? What are you bringing on this journey? Now, there are things we don't know how to do. Ne? Should I tell you my weakness? Yeah. Don't tell everybody, ne? This is just amongst us. Ne? I'm just telling you because I trust you, you're nice people. Gcina Mhlophe, she's got a problem with money speak. She does not understand this. I don't know how people understand money. Ne? But because I don't have money speak, I harness the skills of those who do. Because I don't have money speak. I've tried, it's difficult, I don't know, and they make it look so easy. It's like people who understand mathematics, how X has to get married to Y, and then, but apparently mathematics calls for them to get married. But when you've got a weakness, call on skills from people who've got that skill so that you work together. You don't hoard all the power. You said, I'm going to do everything. You can't do everything. Why would God create a woman who can do everything? I mean, really, you think God has got time to waste? Creating people who've got everything, who know everything? So I love the fact that we can bring people together who can do different things. And once we do that, that's what is called an army, right? Yeah, and we are fighting, and we are nation building, and we want to make a better tomorrow. Because things that are happening in our country, in our continent, in the world right now, don't make any sense. Yeah. It's like there's a serious anemia when it comes to leadership. Serious anemia. So where will the leadership come from? Leadership of the future? It will come from in the young calves. And you know that as much as I do. And so let's work towards telling those stories and making sure that they don't die. Making sure that we collaborate with sister organizations because we like to work alone. And hello, City Press over here. Newsroom Africa over here. They must come and look at me. And I'm thinking, you can't be everything to everybody. And in different provinces, because often there's less money. So you do what you do in your area, but celebrate what people are doing in other areas as well. But don't repeat what has been done already. Don't reinvent the wheel as well. So telling that story doesn't mean that because when you've got a louder voice, then nobody else has done anything. Other people are doing work all over. See them. And if you can bring them in to share with you what they are doing, whether they are working in the Northwest Province, whether they are working in Mpumalanga, bring them together, share, or travel to go and see how they are doing things. It's extremely important then for us to embrace one another, to make, the end goal is to make sure that we see that brighter future in our children's eyes. And if I call on the words of an amazing man before I get out of here, some people have just got a way of putting things. Khalil Gibran, Nutin. A job well done is love made visible. Yeah. How awesome is that? A job well done is love made visible. Go out there and do that job. Make that difference. And it will be that love made visible. For a long time, people will remember what you have done. Igalelo, we call it in my mother tongue. Igalelo lako. That galelo will be remembered for many years and decades to come. I celebrate each and every one of you. I celebrate each and every one of you. I celebrate 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 you. Let the star of Izinga inspire us to tell our stories and tell them good. Siyabonga. 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 Hey, siyabonga. Hey, good therapy. Siyabonga.